Yes.
Well, you're incredibly fit. You're
Why,
incredibly
thank
fit and in
you.
good shape. You look
Thank
great.
you.
You do look really good. I think you're my age. You're 38?
37. Don't rush me.
37?
Yes.
Gibson's younger than I am.
Yes.
That's how it should be, though.
That's
Gibson.
exactly how it should be.
Like I'm on his football team. Gibson's younger than me.
Well, here's the deal, because it's impossible for me to not say Debbie, even though you're Deborah now. You're giving me the look. You're giving me the eyes already.
I'll tell you why. Let me just explain this. Get this out of the way. Everybody in my real life, my family and friends, for the first 16 years of my life, called me Deb or Deborah. The record company came along and they were like, "We want to call you Penelope." I don't know. They made up names. Not really Penelope, but they made up names. They wanted to go with Debbie G. I'm like, why? Because you have Stacy Q and all those. I'm like, because you want me to be a one-hit wonder dance artist. No, I don't want that. Go with just Deborah. I'm like, no, there's Madonna, there's Sade. No, I don't want to do that. So by the time they came back around to Debbie Gibson, I was like, fine, I'll take it. Even though that's still not my name. Like, what's wrong with Deborah Gibson? That's my name. But I understood that it was catchy and younger sounding and all of that. But honestly, the first time I ever shook somebody's hand and introduced myself to them as Debbie was after the record was out. So all of my friends and family were like, who's this Debbie chick? See that?
Wow.
That's good.
So
That's
if you
want
to be like a total stranger to me, call me Debbie. That's
but
my
if I want to
answer to everybody.
But if I want to be really
you
close
want
with you,
to feel like part of the family,
intimate,
call me Deb or Deborah. Easy now.
Deborah.
Imagine what it's been like having the last name Spears for the last 10 years and the phone calls I get at home. What's the over-under on how many times people ask me if my sister's Brittany? 3 times a day.
Baby, how was I supposed to know? Something wasn't right. It's my favorite impersonation to do. By
Oh
the
my
way.
That's
God,
pretty good.
that's a 3
All right,
cigarette.
fine. I've been singing her shows off stage all these years. Now the truth comes out.
That would be the greatest story in the history of stories
know.
if you were the real voice of Britney Spears.
Wouldn't that be funny?
That's an incredible impression.
Basically.
Let me ask you about that because was it you did a VH1? It was it I love the
80s.
I love the 80s.
Yeah, I
then
hosted that.
You were ripping on somebody like Celine Dion, right?
I don't think so. I was ripping on myself a lot. I remember
but you're
that.
ripping on the way people sing now, weren't you? There was something. Oh, come on.
I don't remember.
Right, but
anyway, go on. Because that was all scripted, so I don't remember.
But a lot of these, I mean, a lot of the way these kids are singing now, where they think they want to be Mariah or Celine or Whitney, doesn't it drive you crazy the way a lot of these kids
were the riffing, all the over riffing,
the octave overkill. I mean, doesn't that drive you nuts?
Yeah, I mean that's why like on American Idol right now, I'm a fan of I love Brooke White because she just sits at the piano and plays and sings, and she's not about I want to show off vocal gymnastics. It's about telling the story, which I think is really cool. I definitely think kids have gotten away from that. I mean, we do auditions for my camp, and you'll have a 7-year-old come in, and they're emulating some 51-year-old soul singer, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, you're 7, sing Annie. You know? So, yeah, I kind of want kids to be kids and learn how to sing. I mean, I think, my foundation was more in Broadway training, and that has served me really well because when you have a base, when you get legitimate training, you can take it anywhere. If you just are a pop style singer, you can't necessarily go do anything with that. That's why, kind of the mission of the camp is to give kids a really strong foundation in acting, singing, dancing, on-camera techniques, all of that so that they can have longevity and not just have a one-hit wonder, flash-in-the-pan career.
Well, here's what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
All right? So you see this is a TMZ nation now, right? Mm-hmm. And you see all these young kids doing stuff, and they're all getting really wild. When you were that young, were you pretty wild? But I mean, your public persona. I mean, were you
No. See, that's what I was going to say when you said
there were no mountains of blow anywhere at any
No,
sort
I've never touched a drug. I've actually never been drunk in my life.
Come on.
I've never had a whole drink. I don't like alcohol. I don't like any of that.
Never had a drink. No. Oh my God.
No.
Your halo looks awesome.
Thank you. Is it glowing?
It is. It looks great. Wow. No kidding.
But more importantly, see, how does my skin look?
Did you have a spot treatment?
No, I just clean living. You know what I mean? Seriously.
I look like shit, don't I?
There's a reason that we look like we're on our deathbed, and she doesn't.
No, but I just, that's what I was going to say. On the business end, I was always very mature for my years. I was on as a professional kid, I felt very mature. I mean, when I was like 10 years old and I was singing at the Metropolitan Opera and the children's chorus in different languages, and you could give me responsibility and I could handle it, and I liked that. But on tour, when everybody else was going out clubbing, me and my dancers would go back to my room and play Pictionary. I was very much a kid. I actually
were you offered that, though? If you had wanted to, was it around you everywhere? If
you want to know what? If it was, I was so oblivious because I was so not interested that I'm sure I was at parties where stuff was happening. I never saw anything. Like, when I went to play Sally Bowles in Cabaret on Broadway, there was a scene where Sally Bowles does cocaine, and I had to say, can someone show me how to look like I'm... And they were like, wait, you've been in the music business for how long, and you've never seen somebody do cocaine? And I said, no.
They could have messed with you big time if they'd wanted to.
Oh,
they could have shown you a completely funny way.
They could have, yes. But, so... And I had to look like I was a smoker, and I had and all these things.
Never
and
smoked either.
No, I had to smoke herbal cigarettes in that show. That was the first time. I was 34.
You get hooked or anything?
No. Oh God, no. I'm so protective over my voice. I'm a freak. I'm interested in singing and dancing and acting and doing my thing. I'm not interested in the other part of it at all.
Let me just ask you real quick. Do you have sympathy for today's teen pop stars, or do you mock them like the rest of us?
Little bit of both. I mean, it definitely is a different world, but it also is a little ridiculous. I mean, it's like, I don't like that. And again, part of my thing with my camp is like, too many kids are getting the message that if you buy the right $3,000 handbag and dance on the right table in the right club, you'll have a career. Because that's what's happening, unfortunately. And like, the media is rewarding that behavior and handing people what appears from the outside as a career, but it's not. And when it falls apart, man, is it going to fall apart for a lot of these, especially the girls. Yeah, I mean, I do think, obviously, like, put it this way, People magazine wasn't interested in what teenagers were doing back when I started as much as they are now. But then on the other hand, the teenagers weren't doing anything outrageous. I mean, yeah, you had your like Corey Haim, Corey Feldman maybe going to a club or something. Big deal. But there wasn't.
Maybe.
But we weren't like courting the media as much. And therefore, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. Like the media had nothing really to. They had no reason to follow me. What were they going to follow me to a bowling alley on Long Island? I mean, that was about like that was what story were they going to get? So
because you were Miss Squeaky Clean, whether you wanted to be or not. Mm-hmm. But in 2005, you did something that kind of threw people for a loop. You appeared in Playboy.
Yeah.
Wait, you appeared in Playboy? I've never heard such a thing.
I was torturing you, making you get the words out. You like that?
Yeah.
I was like,
That was really uncomfortable.
Gee, I wonder.
Was going to explode.
And that's part of why I did it, because it's so fun to me. It's funny to watch. It's funny for me to watch other people squirm when I was so comfortable with it. So anyway.
Yeah, tell us how that came about.
Well, I got that call at 18, 22, 25, 28, 30.
I got mine at 36. They called me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shut them down. I wasn't ready.
Offer wasn't good enough?
I wasn't.
No, well, when they called in like 98 or 99. At that time, I was actually playing Gypsy in Gypsy Rose Lee, who was like a burlesque queen. And the timing of that was very interesting because I was suddenly on stage having to really come to terms with being at home with my sexuality. It was like a very in-your-face kind of role. And at that time, I said, you know what? I would totally be into doing it if you would do like a theatrical, stylized type thing that fits the show I'm doing now. And they were kind of like, theatrical, stylized, Playboy readers, not so much. So then they came back to me in 2005 and actually referred back to that conversation and said, yeah, you know what? Our magazine has progressed to that at this point. It is more artistic. You can do kind of a more glam stylized thing. You can like show as much or as little as you want, do whatever you want. You have total approval and freedom over everything. And I just went, you know what? Why not?
Did you go full Monty in that? Did you go do the whole shebang?
No, I came up with 8,000 creative ways of creating G-strings. I was like, oh, this necklace would make a great G-string.